All right, now we're moving on to the control board. We're nearing the end. I've only got one more little parts tray left here. So, all right, so we're going to install our trimmer pot here. This is the contrast pot for the screen. So we want to insert this through the back of the board, which is the side that has the outline for the silkscreen outline for the battery. And then you want to solder it on the front of the board. Which makes sense because the front panel of the case goes right up against here. So you obviously couldn't have this thing sticking out there. So now we got that guy up, he's a little bit high, so we're gonna heat this up and make it flush. There we go, that looks good. Turn this on, that'll help. All right, there we go. Trim those leads off. Turn this guy fully counterclockwise. So turning him fully counterclockwise. Alright, now we're going to install our female headers here. These aren't as hard to align. As the male version, so. Oh, and by the way, these are going to install on the same side as your trimmer pot there. Alrighty, now we're going to install our battery holder. This is a surface mount part, but it's easy to solder because there's just two pads and there's a little notch in one corner, and you can see the notch on the board where that lines up. What I'm going to do is melt some solder on one of these pads. And just line this guy up. Wow, should be pretty easy, but it's fighting me. There we go. And we just apply heat to the connector and you'll see the solder wick up from the pad underneath. Oops, didn't let it cool enough. Put a little more solder on this side. That's all there is to it. Alright. So what now? Install the microphone. That's this little guy. So the positive side of the mic goes towards the middle. And there's no way you'll be able to see this, but there's a tiny little plus on there. So the plus goes towards the center of the board and it goes on the front. The side with the LCD, which is not the side we've been using. Alright, so there's our panel. There's our plus. You can also tell because the pins are offset, and if you put them through the holes correctly, the microphone will actually fit in the silkscreen outline. I might need some pliers. Oh, look at this guy, he's very small. Ready? Alright, so now we're going to install the two push buttons. Of course, they go on the front, obviously. And one of these holes, a little bit of solder in it. I was putting the headers on. Alright, so you have to be careful when you solder this, not to melt the pin headers. And the front two are not a problem. However, these you'll have to kind of hold the soldering iron vertically and go in the center. Alright, I think we got out unscathed there. going to remove the protective film from the LCD. Alright, so we want to thread the 20mm black screws through the holes at the corner of the LCD cutout. Like that. And then screw on the spacers. Alright, so those are not tight all the way. Alright, so now I'm going to pull this cover off. And we're going to put the pins, I'll put this down so the connection pads at the top edge, so the silk screening is upside down. So this row of gold connectors is at the top, our silk screen is upside down. We're just going to thread this on these screws. And this is why you don't want to tighten those nuts. They're getting kind of tight here. You want to have the play to be able to get this guy on there. Oh, wow, some of these actually really tightened up. Alright, you want to try to keep this LCD level as you do this. Obviously, if you get a big angle, you're going to get a bind. Alright, so now we want to tighten the spacers. I'm going to need a set of pliers to hold on to those. I make sure these are tight, but I don't want to strip the screws because I would like to have them nice and black and not have any paint rubbed off. Alright, so there's that. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to put our four nuts on the back here. Alright, so now we're going to solder the LCD, I imagine. Oh my goodness, there's actually a pin header for this. All the other kits you have to use the capacitor cutoffs, but this one actually provides a pin header, which is nice. So we want to stick this header strip into the LCD. There's a short pin and a long pin, as you can see there. So the short pin goes into the LCD. Alright, so we've still got our text upside down. Now this guy goes on these 4 screws. Make sure that our header goes through all the PCB holes here. Just hitting me up a little bit. Now we're going to add our nylon nuts to these screws and tighten them down. Do not over tighten. It's only nylon, not your enemy's neck. Wow, that's a little, little graphic there, Hans. So this one is a little bit problematic because it's right up against the pin header. But it says with some persuasion and needle nose pliers you can get it. As it has been pointed out, actually my board here still has the rails on. I'm going to break those off. We want to align these on the edge so that you have a flat, there's nothing protruding from the edge of the PCB. So there's a smooth spot all the way across there. So one of the flat edges of the nut needs to line up with the edge of the PCB there. And now we're going to solder the 2 unsoldered pins here. It's easier said than done because that little nut is there, but I want to make sure to get, you actually can't see the hole that you're soldering. I guess depending on the orientation that your nut ended up in there, might make a difference, but alright, good. So there's actually a check we can make to make sure we got that right. So we want the top pin, so the one away from our connector there, to be grounded. I'm just measuring to the middle pin on the jack here, and this one should not be grounded. Alright, I think we're good. Okay, this sounds fun. So now we have to solder these 16 pins. I wonder why we didn't do that before putting the front panel on. Seems like that would have been okay to do, but so he says the easiest thing to do is go from left to right, feeding the solder from the left and touching the pin from the right. Now, I have no idea how to tell if those are successfully soldered. This probably is going to be it's too tall. Maybe I can look at a funny angle. Let's see. There we go. So number 3 needs a little help. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 7 is not looking too great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so number 13, and then the last one, I think, need a little bit of work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is where it helps to be able to see when the solder flows, like if you know what you're looking for. Just basically apply heat, a little bit of solder, and then you'll see the solder bubble and kind of suck down into the hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright, those all look good. Now, we're just going to solder these, which should be, I think, relatively easy. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. I might try to zoom into that, but this is what I'm talking about. So I'm going to heat this pad up, I'm going to apply some solder, and once the pad gets hot enough, you'll actually see the solder just suck down in there. That's what you're looking for, and that's what you're looking for on the top, because you can't really see down in there really good on the top side or the front side of this. So you just kind of look and watch for that solder to bubble and then suck down into the hole. Alright, so now we're ready to add the buttons and stuff. So just going to push this guy on here firmly. Let it come off. Same thing on this one. Alright, so now I need my screwdriver kit again. Alright, we shouldn't need that. Back this screw out. Alright, so he says tighten the screw against the round part of the shaft, not the flat part. Oh, it's still protruding a little bit. There we go. Now remember that these knobs click too, so you don't want this to be completely flat. When you tighten it, completely flush with the front of the case, I mean. If it's flat, you won't be able to click the knob, which is important. Yep, like that one's too low. I'm just gonna make sure that mine are kind of aligned and they do look like they're the same height. Alright, well that's going to do it for this installment. Next time we'll go ahead and get the front panel on and get this guy wrapped up. So thanks for watching, and until next time, 73.